You're probably used to these shelves being full of tennis rackets and strings. Well, in today's video,
We are gonna turn this into this.
In today's video, I'm going to show you how you can make a custom tennis racket storage system for pretty cheap with some of the cheapest IKEA shelves and a few modifications done by one of the least handy people on the planet, which is me.
Okay, so the way that I build this is with IKEA Ivar shelves. These are some old ones that they came in black, but I need a little more room. So I've got the tall ones here. So that's gonna go basically all the way to the top of the ceiling. And then I'm not gonna tell you how to build these shelves because it's easy and obvious. I'm just gonna show you the modifications that I make to turn them into tennis racket and string storage. Okay, so modification number one with your Ivar. So the side supports, these things, we're gonna do a modification, which is drill a hole. Now I'm just gonna repurpose the one I drilled and it's not gonna match because I quite simply don't care enough. But you wanna drill a hole that's the same size as this big silver screwy thing that you get from Home Depot. And that is where we're gonna hold our string reels. So to be clear, here's my big Ivar shelf, and I'm putting in the one with a hole for my reel, second from the bottom. You can obviously put it anywhere you want. If you want to have your reels up high, put it on the top one. I want to have it kind of like under a tabletop situation that I'm going to build in, so that's why it's going there. So here's the second modification we are doing to these Ivars. This thing that looks absolutely disgusting close up is just a garage light from Amazon. I got two for like 40 bucks like 5 years ago. It doesn't really matter. You can use whatever light you want. I just liked that this was a bar. One thing I don't like is you can really clearly see each LED, but for the most part, I'm able to blur that out on camera. The second piece that we have here, which you can see like how bad I am at building things, is just held in by one screw because it's annoying. And the way that when it gets installed, the posts kind of like keep it set in so it doesn't wiggle all around, though it does wiggle a decent amount. So this is actually another IKEA piece. It's door handles for the IKEA PAX system. And that's gonna go on our top shelf at the top of this triangle. IKEA says you're supposed to have help doing this, but I'm the only one here right now, so hopefully this works. So there, as you can see, that top shelf went on the top. That's where I want my lighting to be. It's a little bit tricky to squeeze in. You might find it easier to install this piece upside down after you put the shelf in. Just the way that these the shelves attach to the pegs, you kind of have to squeeze it between the bracket and this decorative piece that we've added. Okay, so you can see that this reel pole thing has been successfully installed and can sit nicely under whatever shelf or other addition to your Ivar that you so choose. I will be putting some nuts in on each side to keep it from moving around, but honestly, because it still is threaded like this, it really doesn't need them. It stays in place pretty well. It doesn't, like the reels are kind of hard to take on and off, but you're not doing that often, and yeah, it works pretty well for me. All right, so a little update. I've installed some shelves. Bottom shelves, we have filming equipment. So here we have like a light stand, light bags for transportation, tripod adjacent. Then one up. This is my personal stash of sets, half sets, Allie's reel that I've been siphoning. Just, you know, strings that people send to test that I got to test or that have failed the test. Okay, so this is one of the trickier parts. This
shelf that we're looking at here is the bottom of the tennis racket main shelving system. So I've stapled in a bit of foam to help the rackets grip to the bottom a little bit to address the issue of the tips of the rackets kind of sliding out from under them. Again, we have another PAX handle serving as decoration. And then the tricky part is the way that the shelves are built into this Ivar system is they sit on pegs. So the pegs go in and the shelves clip on. To get that bottom piece to kind of cup the rackets, so the racket kind of like sits in like that, you actually have to angle the mounting on the shelf. So you're gonna want to put the back set of pegs one notch higher than the front set of pegs. All right, so here you can see that this is clearly at an angle, sloping downwards with the back side a bit higher. This is kind of like a horizontal, and then this is off axis. It does work. The pegs are supporting the shelves as they're supposed to, sort of. It's just barely in, but it works. It's been like several years that I've had this setup working. So the next tricky thing is figuring out where you're gonna put your cross brace. The way that I measure this is I grab my racket, kind of like look at how it's gonna sit. And I've made the mistake before of mounting this cross brace too high up, so the handle was leaning against the cross brace. I have since learned that you don't want that to happen because if the butts are in line with the post, you can fit less rackets. And our number one priority here is fit as much crap on this shelf as possible. So I'm going for a slightly lower position on the cross brace, bracing kind of into the curve of the racket here, so I can lean the racket further back like that and hopefully fit more frames. And then also, because it's leaned back, I should be able to put a shelf slightly lower, giving me, again, more headroom. That is gonna come lower later. I just had to put something up there to keep this frame secured as I build out my station. Over here, I've made some updates and put in some bar strings, but I've realized that these bins I bought from IKEA are pretty inefficient space-wise. So you can see I'm fitting 4 and there's a big gap here, but it's not making the most on each side. So I have ordered some just cardboard boxes, so I'll be able to go 5 across instead of 4. And then, of course, everyone's mounting point is going to be a little bit different, where you want your rackets to sit on the shelf exactly. And some people are probably not going to go for the maximum height Ivars. You might go for the shorter height Ivars like I have in the past. But the way that I generally measure things on these is by how many dots for the pegs. So from the shelf to the distance up that I'm mounting this piece from the bottom, just for your reference, is going to be, remember, lower, higher. 1 is in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm just under the 12 here, or in the center of the box that the 13 and 14 make. And that's how I do things. All right, so we've got our U brackets in. These are from Home Depot, by the way, and now it's time to put our dowel in. You're probably wondering, why do you have 2 dowels? Well, at one point this was 1 dowel, and then I cut it in half because I had like 2 separate things. And then instead of buying a new one, which just seemed wasteful, I taped it back together. So your dowels will gracefully... Okay, so you just... It is exactly what you think. You slide this in to the other side. Boom. Oh no. And if you just had like one section of shelf, obviously you could just build this with one section of shelf. You can, and that's what I like about these shelves. They're modular. So you can see it's supported by that bit, so it won't scuff the wall, which I'm trying to not scuff the wall because I am a tenant. And boom. Crossbar in, and then this fits kind of... Oh. Okay, so my little fix to get this to fit a little more firmly is to just jam cardboard in between the dowel and the bracket. So I've done that on all 3 sections to get a firmer fit. It's never going to be perfectly tight, but you know, good enough for me. Okay, so it's coming along decently well. I've got the lighting installed. As you can see, I have painted it sort of blue to try to give it more of a blue glow behind me because I think that is cooler. And it looks horrible close up, but from far away in the video, I really don't think you're going to be able to tell, especially when I blur it out. The way I've done this is these are just garage lights. They come with little clamps that you screw into the top, and then I am running some wiring. So I'm gonna have a power bar here. This plug is the stringing machine cord, which is gonna come out the bottom here. This cord comes all the way up. There's gonna be an easily accessible switch here. Boo, boo. And then it goes up into here, through, comes out the other side. So we've got these in series, and well, I guess like sort of it's more like parallel because there's no light loss, but and then I've just wrapped the cord up there to keep things kind of out of the way and semi-tidy. Annoyingly, I am waiting for a few parts to come back in stock, and there's none used on Facebook. So I'm gonna install some doors here to cover this off. And then this part right here to put some like tools in, I think is pretty desperately needed. So that's gonna kind of go under these spaces. And then once those are in, I'll be able to screw in the shelf. All right, so here's what we're working with in terms of storage. We got the showcase section, as you would expect, the to be strung, which is just a Home Depot shelf bracket, similar to what we got over here, just to like hang general shelves. But I quickly realized that would not be enough for all the rackets. So I had this IKEA, this is another IKEA thing. I think it's from the kitchen section. It's a towel rack. Not the cleanest look, but because it protrudes out of the shelf, it's allowing me to give the rackets a little bit more of an angle to fill up some space. All right, so here's the final product. You can see there is a ton of additional racket space. I've got the doors in, so now no one can see the ugly strings, although apparently sometimes I don't put these boxes away very carefully. Got this lovely shelf installed. Again, with just your classic shelf brackets, and this is just one of the nicer pieces of lumber from Home Depot. It was like 20 bucks. You can see it's not perfectly flat, and there's a little bit of wave towards the end, but it's good enough for this. One of my main issues is if I go to weigh something, you can see, then if I have to make notes, like I'm weighing a racket and I need to write it down, I can kind of just push on this shelf and it wiggles, so I just don't do that. Obviously, if I had some sort of supporting leg, that would work, but that would also ruin the look and be detrimental to the functionality. Light, easily accessible, so you get this kind of, I'm kind of going for like a Batman look, although I don't really think it fully achieves that. Here is where I keep my my swing weight machine, Graffiti SW1. I personally make these little marks for the feet so I can put it in the same place, which means I don't have to rebalance the little feet. I do calibrate it before I use it though, because it will go off slowly but surely. All my kind of graffiti stuff goes in this little cubby that took forever to get back in stock at IKEA. In here, you can see I bought this chopped up Solinco still. I should probably just throw that out. In this thing, I've got spare lead. I am a cheap bastard, so I just save this lead for going in the handles sometimes, because it's obviously not good to go on the frame. It'll fall off. My little dampener container. Over here we've got, so this is kind of like the customization part. This is the grips part, so I guess that should go in there. I don't put things away very diligently. Here's just replacement grips that I save. Over grips and finishing tape. My little charging station that I got in here so I can charge what I need to charge. I got some random crap that I rarely use. Should probably find a more efficient means of storage for that. ERT twist weight adapter, also not used a ton. I can let's count how many rackets I can fit here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 times 1, 2, 3, 60 rackets could fit on this shelf. I've filled that one up to capacity and then left this slightly more sparsely populated. These are mostly current or new rackets that I come in and out of the shelf more often, whereas these are ones I'm keeping for collection purposes. Then we have back to the To Be Strong, which I showed you. One thing that I did do, which I didn't talk about earlier, was I've wrapped a replacement grip around this to kind of protect the frame a little bit more as it rests on there. I don't know how truly necessary that is, but that's what I've done. In here we've got, well, to the side we've got shipping boxes, which sometimes I use if I sell rackets and need to send them. I do not know what I'm going to do with this at all. Here's my reels. So things go pretty well. Do I just tell you everything I've got in stock? Why not? Restring 0, Otoro White, Otoro Orange, Otoro Green, Otoro Snap, Otoro Tour, Otoro Spin Purple, Toro, Wasabi X, Caviar, Wasabi Gray from the K Pro setup. I think that's my favorite color, Wasabi, from playability's perspective. Sniper 125. Then we've got some Qualia reels, so that's kind of cool. Glide 125. We've got Torque 125. Torque 125 again in a different color. Got Confidential 130, Confidential 120, Pro Rush, Pure Rush by True Pro and Ghostwire. Then here I have rearranged it's still an absolute sty. So I'm really happy because I found these cardboard boxes where I can perfectly snugly fit 5 across, which increased my storage significantly. I'm missing one here because I had to put the charging bar there. I could probably move it up. that's how I build my racket storage. I'm pretty pleased with how that is. I like how well, it's not maximized to the max. I still have some room for growth if needed.